Welcome back to Horror History. I'm your host, Vigilante, here to guide you through the darkest corners of human history, where crime, mystery, and the macabre collide. Today, we're going back to 1918 to the lively streets of New Orleans, Louisiana. Picture it, the sound of jazz echoing through the French Quarter, the bustling markets, and a city full of life and culture. But beneath this vibrant exterior lurked a shadowy figure, who would leave an indelible mark on the city's history, the Axeman of New Orleans. For nearly 2 years, the Axeman spread fear through a series of brutal, unsolved murders. He targeted Italian-American grocers, leaving behind bloody crime scenes and more questions than answers. But what makes this story truly haunting is the Axeman's infamous letter to the public, where he claimed to be a demon from the hottest hell, and promised to spare anyone playing jazz on a specific night. Who was this mysterious killer? Was he connected to organized crime, or was he simply a deranged murderer? And why did his reign of terror suddenly end? Grab a drink, turn up some jazz if you dare, and let's dive into one of the most chilling unsolved mysteries in American history. This is Season 1, Episode 6, The Axeman of New Orleans, Jazz, Fear, and Murder. On May 23, 1918, New Orleans woke to what would become one of the city's most infamous crime sprees. Joseph Maggio, an Italian-American grocer, and his wife, Catherine, were discovered brutally murdered in their home on Upper Line Street. The crime scene was a nightmare. Joseph and Catherine had been attacked in their sleep. Their throats were slit with a razor, and their skulls were fractured by blows from an axe. Blood splattered the walls and pooled across the wooden floors. The razor was traced back to Joseph's brother, Andrew Maggio, who ran a barbershop nearby. Police learned that the murderer had entered the house by chiseling a panel out of the back door, an eerie and methodical detail that would become the Axeman's signature. The axe used in the attack belonged to the Maggios themselves, taken from their property. Andrew Maggio discovered the bodies when he went to check in on his brother and sister-in-law. He was initially a suspect due to the razor being linked to him, but he was cleared after a lack of evidence. The police were left with no leads, and the community was thrown into a panic. This was no ordinary burglary gone wrong. The brutality of the murders and the precision of the entry suggests the killer had a specific purpose. Was this a targeted attack against the Maggios, or was something more sinister at play? The Italian-American community, particularly grocers like Joseph Maggio, began to live in fear. But no one could have anticipated the horrors that lay ahead. Following the Maggio murders, the Axeman's reign of terror began to take shape, leaving a trail of blood and confusion. Each attack carried the same grim hallmarks: entry through a chiseled door panel, the use of the victim's axe, and a lack of clear motive. June 28, 1918. The next victims were Louis Bessemer, another grocer, and his mistress, Harriet Lowe. They were attacked in their home behind Bessemer's grocery store. Both were struck with an axe while sleeping. Miraculously, both survived the initial attack, but Harriet's injuries were severe. As she lay in the hospital, she claimed Louis was the killer, sparking a scandal. He was arrested, but later released due to insufficient evidence. Harriet died weeks later from complications, but her claims added another layer of intrigue to the case. August 5th, 1918. Anna Schneider, a 28-year-old pregnant woman, was attacked in her home. Unlike the previous cases, Anna wasn't a grocer, but the attack followed the same pattern. She was bludgeoned with an axe, but miraculously survived. Even more astonishingly, her unborn child was unharmed. Anna's survival gave investigators hope, but her recollections of the attack were hazy, offering little to identify the assailant. March 10th, 1919. Charles and Rosie Cornelius, along with their 2-year-old daughter Mary, were attacked in their home. Charles and Rosie survived with serious injuries, but unfortunately, Mary was killed instantly. This attack horrified the community. The Cornelius accused their neighbors, the Giordano family, of being involved in the attack, but the evidence didn't hold up. Their claims seemed more rooted in personal disputes than facts, adding confusion rather than clarity. With each attack, the Axeman's pattern became clearer, but so did the mystery. Why were most of his victims grocers, often of Italian descent? Was this a vendetta, or targeted campaign, or simply coincidence? The lack of witnesses, fingerprints, or any clear motive left police, and the public, completely baffled. On March 13th, 1919, newspapers published a letter, allegedly written by the Axeman. Its contents were as terrifying as the murders themselves. Addressed to the people of New Orleans, the letter was signed by the self-proclaimed demon from the hottest hell. The Axeman wrote with a chilling confidence, mocking the police and reveling in his infamy. But the most disturbing part was his ultimatum. He claimed that on the night of March 19th, he would pass over New Orleans. Anyone playing jazz music during that time would be spared. The letter concluded with a twisted flourish. One thing is certain, and that is that some of those persons who do not jazz it on Tuesday night, if there be any, will get axed. The ultimatum left the city in a state of panic. Was this a genuine threat or a cruel joke? Either way, New Orleans prepared for what would later be known as Jazz Night. The night of March 19th, 1919, saw New Orleans transformed. Every home, bar, and club played jazz. Musicians were hired, record players spun tirelessly, and the streets were alive with music. The city's collective effort seemed to work. The Axeman didn't strike that night, but the psychological toll was immense. Residents were left wondering if they had just survived a supernatural visitation or the manipulation of a sadistic human being. The letter, it's an ultimatum, and the eerie silence that followed would cement the Axeman's place in American folklore. Who was the Axeman? Over the years, numerous theories have emerged about the Axeman's identity. Italian-American grocers were often targets of extortion by the Black Hand, an early form of organized crime. Could the Axeman have been a mafia enforcer, using brutal tactics to intimidate the community? Others believe the Axeman was a lone madman with no connection to organized crime. His methodical approach and theatrical flair suggest a mind teetering between genius and insanity. The letter's dramatic language and the Axeman's seeming invincibility led some to speculate he wasn't human at all. Stories of demons and vengeful spirits circulated, blending folklore with reality. Now, why did the killing stop? The Axeman's last known attack was in October 1919. After that, he disappeared. Some believe he was arrested or killed for unrelated reasons. Others think he simply moved on to another city. Theories abound, but the truth remains elusive. To this day, the Axeman's identity is one of America's greatest unsolved mysteries. The Axeman's story has inspired countless books, movies, and TV shows, including a notable appearance in American Horror Story, Coven. His connection to jazz adds a uniquely cultural twist to his legend, linking one of America's darkest mysteries to its most vibrant music. Even today, the name Axeman of New Orleans evokes fear and fascination, a testament to the enduring power of his story. The Axeman of New Orleans is a story that lingers in the shadows. Was he a man, a monster, or something in between? Thank you for joining me on this eerie journey into one of America's most infamous unsolved cases. Don't forget to subscribe to Horror History for more tales of terror and intrigue. Until then, stay curious. stay cautious, and as always, stay safe. Peace.